Hey, future graduate student, welcome back to our channel. Today, we are looking at the nitty-gritties of what you need if you are applying for graduate studies abroad. Whether you are looking to go and study in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in the United Kingdom, or anywhere else, you will need these documents because they are like your golden tickets to graduate studies abroad. For example, you can see in this image that I and my colleagues were at some point in Brisbane, that is Australia, on a scholarship where we were undertaking a short course program on a fully funded scholarship program by the Australian government. And so, to get to that level, we needed to have presented certain key documents. And so, grab that favorite snack of yours, and if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, hit that bell, that subscription button, and subscribe to this channel. And once you've subscribed, hit that bell icon and select all notifications so that when we upload future videos on this channel, you will not miss out. So let's get started. The first key document that you need for you to apply for graduate studies abroad is a passport, which is simply a travel document. So your passport is your identity in the global playground. It's like your VIP pass to the academic party. You have to make sure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your intended stay in the country of destination. And it's always good to keep scanned copies of your passports in case you're asked to submit copies of your passport, the ID section that highlights your information as well as your photo page. So you want to make sure you keep a digital copy of your passport. The second key document that you need is an academic transcript and degree certificates. These are your academic battle scars. So the proof that you have actually conquered courses and survived exams before. So you are essentially highlighting to the admissions committee that you are actually befitting to be in that graduate program. You may want to gather these transcripts from your undergraduate and any other relevant degrees. Sometimes unofficial transcripts may actually work during the application process, and then when you have been accepted in the program, you may be asked to present your original transcripts to the International Admissions Committee. And in that case, you may actually be given what they refer to as a provisional admission. And so it's very important to make sure that you have these original transcripts, and they have to actually be what in my country Zambia would describe as detailed transcripts highlighting all the courses that you have undertaken in that undergraduate program or in that master's program if you're looking to go and study for a PhD program. Now, there is one additional piece of information that is key as far as academic transcripts are concerned and degrees certificates are concerned. In some cases, they may require that you do what is called academic credential verifications. And in this case, you might want to reach out to a credentialing body that actually assesses these transcripts as well as academic degrees so that you can have them evaluated. When you have evaluated them, you will actually be cutting, time on the time that you may be required to do that during the application process. And so if you have the verification already, then you are basically cutting down on the time that you're going to spend during the application process. The third document is you may need to demonstrate your English language proficiency. And so you may actually need to present English language proficiency scores. And this is because English is the global academic language, and so you will definitely need to highlight, especially if you are going to countries that are primarily English speaking countries. And so it will be very critical that you present that certificate which highlights your proficiency in the different aspects of the English language. So this could be spoken English, written English, listening, and so on and so forth. So some of the tests that you may have to undertake may include the TOEFL exam, the IELTS, the Pearson tests, for proficiency, and so you may need to undertake any of these exams. Though it would be important to actually look at the school to which you are applying or the program to which you are applying to actually see which proficiency exams do they actually accept in their program. And so if you're interested in a particular program, you want to go into that program in detail. So you go at the application requirements and then look at what kind of exams do they accept. So you find that some may actually accept TOEFL, others may actually accept IELTS, but others may accept both proficiency tests. And so it will be very, very important. And then there are other proficiency tests like Duolingo. All these are different proficiency tests that may or may not be accepted by your target school or a target program that you are applying for. So what is really critical here is that you want to go through the particular program that you're interested in beforehand and look at the proficiency exam that they accept. Very, very important. And then the other point just on this one is that you want to also make sure that you meet the scores that are required for that particular program. So you may see that if you are applying for undergraduate, the scores may be slightly different to the scores that may be required if you are applying for a PhD program and you have a master's. So they will actually be asking you to submit proficiency tests that actually may be slightly higher in score compared to that of an undergraduate student. And so basically at graduate level, the English proficiency level requirement might be slightly higher. And so it will be very important. And then within different programs, you may also find that there may be variations. So you might find that individuals, again, that may be required to serve as teaching assistants may be required to have higher level of English proficiency. So that is, again, having some differences between graduate teaching assistants and graduate research assistants. So all those are pieces of information that you want to pay critical attention to. So that is documenting number 3. Then the second key documents that you will need are letters of recommendation. And why do you need this? So you actually think of these as your academic cheerleaders. So they vouch for your brilliance. And so you are actually getting this recommendation from the professors that may have supervised you in your undergraduate or from the lecturers that may have supervised you in your undergraduate studies or at your master's level. And so they are essentially serving as your academic cheerleaders and they are cheering for you, making sure that you succeed in your application process. And so they are basically going to highlight what your strengths are. When they worked with you, they would have looked and seen what your strengths are in pursuing further studies at graduate level. So it is critical that, when you are considering to apply, you are building those relationships whereby it will not be difficult for you to go and get a recommendation letter from somebody that has worked for you. And so the other point is that you want to reach out to these professors, mentors, or supervisors who know you really well. Ask them to write glowing letters about your awesomeness or your achievements and your academic potential. And as you reach out to them, you want to reach out to them way in time before the deadline. Because if you make a mistake to reach out to them maybe a week before the submission is needed, because in most cases, when you're applying for these programs, these people that are providing these recommendation letters may be required to make these recommendation letters available through the application portal, whereby they may actually receive links where they actually submit the applications without giving them to you as an applicant. And so they will need to make that submission at a given deadline. And so it's important to try and reach out to them way in time so that you give them sufficient time to prepare these recommendation letters. In most cases, you might find that the program might ask you for 3 recommendation letters. Some programs may simply say 2 recommendation letters, but at most, they might tell you 3 recommendation letters, and then you may give them a bonus of the 4th recommendation letters. Because I remember when I was applying for my PhD, I had to actually submit 4 recommendation letters, and the 4th was essentially just a bonus, but they were actually having 3 required recommendation letters. And so it's important to keep building that batch of people, or that group of people that will be able to provide you these recommendation letters when you begin to apply for your graduate studies. Now, the 5th document is a research proposal. So a research proposal mostly applies for those that are applying for a PhD and a postdoc program. And so this is your academic elevator pitch. Basically, that's what you are considering it. So you consider this as your academic elevator pitch. So you are highlighting to convince the admissions committee that your research will change the world, or at least a tiny corner of it. So essentially, you are highlighting what problem you are seeking to address, and how are you going to address that problem, and then what will be the significance of that piece of research that you are proposing. So what innovative ideas do you have that have not probably been conducted before, or what angle are you proposing to actually conduct this particular research so that it can add to the body of knowledge, or at least solve some of the existing human problems that are being faced by the world. So very, very important. In some countries, you may be required to actually prepare a proposal beforehand, and then be able to have that proposal approved by a pre-approved supervisor whom you have initially conversed with, and then they have had an interview, an informal interview with you, and then they have approved the proposal. But in other cases, you may actually not be required to highlight this proposal. In some schools in the United States, for example, the proposal may not necessarily be a requirement, but if you're applying to schools like in the United Kingdom, schools in Australia and New Zealand, you might find that they actually would require you to have a proposal that is prepared beforehand, highlighting what kind of research are you proposing. If you are seeking to work with a particular supervisor, how does that research align with the kind of work that they're doing? So that's a research proposal. You want to outline your research goals, methodology, and why it matters. So bonus points might be given uh, if you highlight enthusiasm as well within that proposal, how enthusiastic you are about the work that you are proposing. The next point, dear friends, is the financial certification. And so here you show them the money. So basically, you are simply trying to prove that you actually won't be depending on the receiving government to actually take care of you, especially if you are not funded by the scholarship program. So you may need to really demonstrate these finances, that you have adequate finances to undertake graduate studies in the country that you are proposing. So these could be demonstrated through bank statements, which highlights that you have sufficient funds. And then in case you are given a scholarship by the program that is providing that scholarship, or the program that you're going to study from the department where that program is actually nested, then you may need to highlight to demonstrate this using the scholarship letters, because these become very, very important when you are going to actually apply for the next document that I'm going to talk about. And so these scholarship letters, or bank statements coming from your sponsor, if your sponsor is actually coming from your country or from another country, that sponsor will need to give the bank statements so that you can actually use them to get the next document, which will be the last document that I'm talking about in this particular video. And so you want to actually watch this video to the end so that we finish with the last document. Now, what is the last document? So the last document is what is described as a student visa, or in some cases, it has been described as a biometric residence permit. And this is usually for students who are going to study for more than 6 months in the United Kingdom. The document that you need to get is referred to as the biometric residence permit. Now, without this, you are like a fish out of water. So what is that point really that I'm trying to make? So you need it for you to actually breathe. So it's a legal document that actually permits you to enter the host country. Without it, you cannot enter that host country. So you need to be approved. So you may have admission, you may have even a scholarship, but if that visa is denied, then you probably will not be able to enter the country that is providing you the scholarship or even the admission for you to study in that country. So it's very important that you prepare all the documents required by the embassy or the consular section that is actually going to be interviewing you for this particular document, so that you can actually convincingly highlight why it's important that they actually give you that visa. If you already have a student visa, you should pat yourself on the back. If not, you need to actually start making preparations. That is for those individuals that are already advanced on this particular journey. But if you are still very far, then you have room to actually prepare all these documents that I've talked about and then begin the application process, because many schools currently have open application sessions. Others are beginning to have open application sessions, and so you may want to take advantage of those application sessions so that you can actually scoop these opportunities of studying abroad. And there you have it, folks, the essential documents for your graduate study adventure Remember, each university might have specific requirements, so always double check their websites. If you have found this video helpful, do help us by hitting that thumbs up and share it with your fellow aspiring scholars. Until next time, keep dreaming big and studying harder those application requirements so that once you begin this application process, it will simply be a walkover. For now, we are signing off from the BMI Care TV, where opportunities are shared graciously for those who are aiming for the stars and considering the do it yourself approach to graduate study school application. We have done it before, you can do it as well. And remember, this video is for information purposes, and you might want to make sure that you consult the official university websites for each university that you are applying to, and if need be, contact the immigration authorities for the country that you're interested in to get up-to-date information and seek professional guidance for your specific situation. It's bye-bye for now until we meet in yet another exciting video. Thank you.